The conversation that follows is very real and covers some very dark territory, including rage, depression, and suicidal ideation. It needs to be heard because countless people are going through these things right now. If you're experiencing struggles like this, please talk to someone, anyone. Many times, particularly in this disconnected digital age, we feel isolated and valueless. I promise you, there are people out there who love you and value your presence in the world. The likelihood that you have made a positive impact on someone and didn't even realize it is very high. You matter, and you are not alone. The reason I, as a fitness professional, wanted to bring this to you is because of the profound impact physical fitness has, not can have, has on mental health. Body, mind, and spirit are inseparable. You cannot ignore one without the others failing. If you are struggling with life right now, know that there are solutions. There are always solutions for wellness. I'll put some helpful links in the show description. Take care of yourself and be well. If you've ever wondered how a fitness plan can go beyond the body into strengthening the mind and spirit, stick around, settle in, and take notes. You're going to want to hang around for this one. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off and the clock has started.
And good day to each and every one of you bright, shining souls, wherever you may be, and welcome to Balanced Fit Radio. We're talking about strength, meaning, and the human experience. I'm your host, Scott Schroeder, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach with specialties in corrective exercise and performance enhancement, blah, blah, blah. This show is where fitness meets psychology, philosophy, and real life, because true wellness is about more than just the body. It is about balance. Let's get into it, shall we? Joining me today in the palatial Balanced Fit Radio studio complex is a personal training client of mine. She's a Midwestern girl with the salt of the earth in her blood, although she probably arrived here on a comet. She's undefinable, indefatigable, and almost certainly the person Chuck Nolan wanted Wilson to be on that island in Castaway. Lacey Pletcher, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Now, how are you feeling today, by the way?
Good.
You had an intense workout earlier.
I did. Yeah. I went home and chilled and got some errands done and whatnot. So yeah, I still feel good. If there's any soreness, it has not struck yet.
All right. Well, you're well conditioned. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. So before we get into things here, there are some questions that need answers from you.
Okay.
Things people need to know about Lacey Pletcher.
Sure.
Not Fletcher.
Correct. Pletcher with a P, like party.
Is that a thing that you've put up with your entire life?
My entire life. That's how Pletcher with a P, like party, came to be. Or if you check in reservation and they're like, we don't have you. I'm like, look under Fletcher. And one time I said, well, it's like Fletcher, but with a P, and they go, Pfletcher?
Sure.
Yeah. So
let's go with that.
Yep.
I was always someone whose last name was butchered my entire life. And did you go, some people roll with it and they by the time they're adults, they're just like, whatever, sure. Spell it however you want it. Or were you like me where it's like, look, can we just get this right, please? It's not that difficult.
Oh, no, I don't really care about it. But my first name, obviously, it's not the correct spelling of lace or something that's lacy, like on the couch, like a doily. But
you have an E in there.
Yeah, I have an E in there. But what's really wild is when I worked at Notre Dame football, and I was sending emails from there. I don't know if people just were like, no way a woman works there. So I would get, emails back to Dear Larry all the time. Like I've gotten Dear Larry a lot, but one time I did get Dear Nancy, and I'm like, Nancy, that's not even close. Nancy. So
it's just like, this can't be right. So I'll just pick a random name out of nowhere. Interesting. All right. So, I like to ask this question because it sort of sets a tone and lets me know a little bit of things. Now, you are not of the South. No. You are a Midwestern girl. From Indiana, yes?
Yes. Northern Indiana, like 5 miles from the Michigan border.
Y'all got watermelon up there?
We do. Corn, yeah.
Do you like watermelon?
I can take it or leave it.
Okay, fair enough. When you eat watermelon, do you salt it?
No. Like the most place I ate watermelons, I had grandparents in Texas, and the watermelon would come out when we were around the pool. And I don't know if that was an option or if I just didn't notice people were doing it, but no. I get it though, the salty and the sweet.
It's a thing. Well, if you do it right, you don't over salt it. Maybe just a little flake or two of kosher salt on there. You don't dump it out with the shaker. It can actually wake up. It can sort of enhance and boost that watermelon, that sweet watermelon taste.
Well, I hope so, because I like I said, the taste, meh. But as you were talking, I just thought, you know what would be good? Because it has salt on the rim. You should make a watermelon margarita.
How did I know you were going there?
Like salt, that's because, you spent hours with me at this point. You kind of know how my brain works.
All right.
Welcome.
So, yes, and that's the produce part of the show. Let's go to the language part of the show. This has become a source of contention around my house. Well, it's been that way for years. I pronounce this word one way. Meredith says I'm a snob because I do that. I don't understand how I'm a snob. I'm just a poor Southern boy myself. But pronounce the following word, Pecan.
I don't like them.
Pronounce it.
Pecan.
Pecan. Mm-hmm. Okay. How about cement? Cement. See, people that go pecan, I say, well, do you say cement? Because it'll be the same thing, right? And they're like, no, that's stupid. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'll start saying cement, like the cement pond, like on the Beverly Hillbillies. How about this one?
Oh.
Nevada.
Oh, Nevada?
You go Nevada.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I had a dog named Vada, Vada.
Okay. See, yeah. Well, the A, that sound doesn't exist in Spanish. Nevada, however you want to say it, is a derivative of the Spanish language. And the A is pronounced in that. But I think Americanized it sort of slid over to and I think language is regional. That's why I like to play this game. It's fun. Language is regional. Like, how about the clothes you wear at night?
PJs, pajamas.
Pajama. See, you say pajama. I also say
pajamas.
pajama. Yeah. Well, I think that's a Pacific Northwest thing and a Northeast thing. There's certain pockets of the country go pajama.
But when you shorten it, I do say jammies. I say pajama, but then jammies.
Yeah, everyone does. No one says jamas.
Speaking of Spanish,
and
you
jamas on.
told me I was allowed to go on tangents. I went to Mexico with my parents for a wedding when I was really little. And of course, the first thing they did when we got in the taxi was, what is Lacey's name in Spanish, right? Because my dad would be, Tomas and whatever. And the guy said, Floja. And so they called me Floja all day. Then once we got to where we were with our friends that, spoke English and Spanish, they finally said to my dad, why have you been calling your daughter lazy all day? Well, it's because I have found native Spanish speakers actually really struggle with my name. So there you go.
Well, there you go. You just never know, do you? I'm told you like dad jokes, yes?
I love dad jokes.
Tell me your favorite dad joke.
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite one. It's just kind of like the stupid puns that come up when there's an opportunity to say something really dad-like. Yeah, I had a really good one yesterday that I had tears in my eyes. I started laughing so hard. But I don't remember them. It's off the cuff. I could tell you my favorite pickup lines, but everybody's got one, right? Because they're cheesy and awful, but not dad jokes.
Well, throw it at me.
Are you a parking ticket? Because you have fine, fine, fine written all over you.
I think that can snuggle nicely into the dad joke.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Milieu there. So, all right. What's your favorite show of all time?
Easy. Ted Lasso.
Do you have a favorite moment or a favorite quote from that show?
Yes. I mean, all of it to me was really brilliant. Like, it's hard to say that the comedy wasn't great. Just like, I don't know, whenever Beard makes a comment and then he goes, horticulture, baby! Like, come on. Like, but I think my favorite moment is actually in season 3, Rebecca's speech, sitting around the table with the Akufu League trying to get going, and how they have paired that with Nathan playing the violin and him, kind of moving on and reconnecting with his parents maybe a little bit, and then her speech, because I've had those moments in my life too where you're looking around a room and she just sees all of these men as little boys and just goes, "Stop it. What do you think you're doing?" Like, I've had those moments with people just like, "Stop it. Like, what's going on?" But I think it's so brilliant from song choice perspective, and that is actually the actor, I love trivia too, Nick Mohammed, playing the violin, and his wife is actually playing the piano in the background there. So, and then over top of going back and forth between him and Rebecca, and like what Rebecca's saying about, taking something away from, people that love it, like this, you don't own this sport, like this sport is for the people. And so I think from a perspective like that, where it's just, the blocking and the editing and the writing and the acting and then the music choice, I think that is probably hands down my favorite scene. That was a remarkable sequence of events with her attending those it was all the owners of all the football clubs, and, right? And they were different nations, they were going to do try to do a super league or something like that. Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen the show, I'm really sorry for you, but if you haven't, run, don't walk. Lacey's opinion is not. I share her opinion. I think it's the best show ever made. I'm a Bill Lawrence fan, and the evolution of Bill Lawrence's shows over the years has been remarkable, and no one is doing television. We'll call it television, whatever you youngins want to call it. No one's making stuff like Bill Lawrence. Everything is coarse and crass and full of foul language. Serves a purpose unless it's just there as shock value or just because you don't know how to write. But well-placed foul language really serves a purpose. But anyway, it's just writing and acting has been real bad for a while, and Bill Lawrence is doing what he can to save it. And I was really pleased to see how good the Scrubs reboot is. I turned it on. I enjoyed it. So, question, did you watch Harrison Ford accept his Lifetime Achievement Award? Did you see that? He said, obviously the room was like, you could hear a pin drop, and he said, we make art and entertainment. We make art or entertainment, and sometimes if we're lucky, we get to make both at the same time. And that's, And you're talking about for Shrinking. Well, that's, yes, from Shrinking. Right, which is another Bill Lawrence show. Correct. But that's, to me, the shows that really speak to me are art and entertainment kind of at the same time. Yeah. All right. Mountains, jungle, desert, or beach? Jungle. Really? Yeah, because that means I'm probably in Costa Rica and some surfing is going to happen later. Okay. I can dig it. I like it. Meredith my wife spent... she did study abroad in Costa Rica, so I think she was there for 6 months or more, something like that. And actually, in fact, she might have gone twice, but she still has friends down there that she keeps up with and loves that place. And it's funny, whenever we see anything like we're old, so we watch Wheel of Fortune. You should all watch Wheel of Fortune. By the way, the demo on that show is really skewed young, and I'm happy to see that carry on. Anyway, whenever somebody wins a trip and it's like to the jungle, they'll win a trip to Costa Rica. We're going to send you to this resort in the middle of the jungle. And I'm like, man, don't send me to the jungle. Send me over to the Pacific coast so I can learn how to surf and do all that stuff. I don't want to. I've been to jungles. Stuff eats you in the jungle. I don't. No, I don't want to. They said the other day, and come face to face with magnificent tree sloths. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen, but also why? All right, so we're going to the jungle out of those 4 choices. I like it because you went right down there to Costa Rica. So let's wrap it up. Where is your favorite place on earth? Well, it's easy. Costa Rica. I've been there about 5 times. I've been to surfing camps down there. And I think it's kind of hard because is it my favorite place for like vacation? Because that would be it. Living there I think would be fun, but so different. But my favorite place, I can't take my dog down to Costa Rica, so it can't be my favorite place because my dog's not there. So, my favorite place is just sort of wherever my dog and I are. I recently went to Ocala to see a really good friend, do some horsey stuff down there. Still trying to get the Ocala sand out of my car. But that's also a favorite place because the dogs run and they play and it's just so fun. And being around horses is so amazing. And then being around great friends. So it's where my dog and friends are.
All right. Okay. Tell us about Lacey. Where did this all start?
You know how...
Where were you born?
Okay, I was going to say, you know how procreation works, right? Sure. I was born in Elkhart, Indiana, Elkhart General Hospital. Same hospital my dad was born in, like literally 2 doors down. And then lived in Bristol my entire life in Bristol, Indiana. I went to high school that was about 25 minutes away. Blows my mind now when people get to choose, like the kids get to choose what school they want to go to. I'm like, I had one choice. You went there.
Hold on a second. I want to know about little Lacey.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you were born in Elkhart, which I've actually heard of.
Yeah. RV capital of the world, RV motorhome capital of the world.
Okay. And what year were you born?
82. Yeah.
Same year as my middle brother. So you are an OG millennial. You are the first.
I'd like to think I'm a zennial.
Yeah, well, those cusp years, you could, because 82, you guys grew up with all the stuff that I grew up with, sort of the analog world, but you also were coming of age as the digital thing was coming online and really taking its form and shape, whereas I was Gen X. I'm like middle Gen X. We were adults already when we got our cell phones and computers and things.
But
like that.
What helped is I have a brother who's 8 years older. So like my taste in music and a lot of the references and a lot of the pop culture stuff, because I thought he was so cool. That was sort of who I looked at as I was growing up. In fact, I have this like white and blue and maroon sort of oversized baggy button up, and I wear it and I say, I'm doing my Motown Philly Boys to Men era, because it's just like the oversized, then with the whitewash ripped jeans, like everything. And I'm like, yeah, this is like the shirts my brother wore in high school when I was growing up.
So what was life like? Let's take that. You kind of skipped right to high school. So let's sort of go through what was life like for a kid in when you were young, when you were little in Elkhart, Indiana? Yeah.
So my brother being 8 years older, I basically became an only child when I was 10. But we lived in a subdivision. My dad had built it, so we lived on the street. The street was named after my mom. So I was up there, and I was...
Does that make you feel special?
No, it's just sort of funny because then when he built the second subdivision, Lacey Lane was the thing. So.
My goodness. Your dad's in construction, building?
Real estate. Now he's in industrial real estate, but yeah. He's worn a bunch of different hats. He sold insurance for a while, like did stock market stuff. Kind of like me. Just do kind of whatever here and there. So I rode my bike, like everywhere. It was, the bike culture. I lived next door to my grandmother and grandfather, which how could you, just the best. We had a pretty big yard. I had a, swing set in the back with the pea gravel, and it had this little like fort thing, and there was like a door hatch that you crawled up the ladder and got into the fort. And so, it was good. I had a lot of friends growing up. I have always been, kind of a nerd, except when we talked about when they tried to put me in the gifted and special, and I realized it was more work, and I asked if I could maybe not do that anymore.
None of my friends are in here.
So I went to a little elementary school, recess. We always talk about like all the things that should have killed us on that playground. Growing up, we absolutely had the super tall, rusty slide, and they let us jump.
Which was nuclear hot in the summer and completely frozen in the winter.
Even in Indiana. And you could jump off the top of the swings, and the swing sets were, 18 feet in the sky, and you'd just jump off.
Yeah, I don't think kids today realize when we talk about the swing sets we grew up with, it's funny you just said that, because that's what I remember too, is how tall those A-frames were. And we would do a thing where we would get you would get swinging and try to make the chain snap down because you're trying to get up over vertical over the top of the top
and then you
crossbar.
got that drop. Yeah.
Boom, and you hit down there. We would also slide our shoes halfway off our foot and on the front swing, kick our shoes and try to see how far we could kick our shoes. You ever do that one?
If I did, I don't remember. But
and of course, jumping out of the swings.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. It was who could get the highest and like jump out, and how I did not break a bone until I was in my 30s.
There were no
pads.
Amazing. Yeah, there were no foam chips there.
Yeah,
it's just the ground.
So just a lot of bike riding every day after school. Gosh, watching DuckTales, woo, and doing that, and and obviously at a very young age, I became horse obsessed.
Yeah, so sounds like pretty decent life, pretty normal, decent life growing up, pretty smooth, everything ups and downs. That Midwestern upbringing. So horses came in.
Yep, horses came in about 8 years old. I was just one of those little girls that said, "Mommy, I want a pony." And my mom had grown up in Texas with horses. My dad had grown up in Indiana with horses, and they went, we'll think about it. The deal was I had to get lessons for 2 years to make sure I would stick with it. So I took a lesson, not all the way through the winter because it was bitter cold, even in the indoor riding arena. But the first horse I rode was with a little pinto pony named Velvet. Had one blue eye, one brown eye. And I would go over there and I'd be put on the lunge line, and they're called up-down lessons because you try to learn to post the trot where you stand up, sit down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I stuck with it. It made me even more obsessed. And so then 2 years later, my parents got me my first horse, which was a racehorse off the track that has barely been kind of retrained, which is a wonderful first horse for a child. By the 25th time that thing dumped me in the dirt, and she was tall, I was like, hey, how about that pony? So then I got my first pony, who was your typical little cheeky monkey asshole pony, but his name was Polo, and he was wonderful. He taught me how to ride. I rode him in a halter and lead rope. I jumped him bareback. I wore shorts on him, and we kept him a couple different places. And then my parents decided to build a farm just down the hill from where we lived, some property that my dad and grandfather had owned, and they did like a tree nursery there. And so we turned that into our little homestead farm, and let's see, Polo was there, and I think we had Packy and Maddie at the same times, 2 quarter horses. So
did you start getting into any competition stuff?
Yeah. So while Lucy was trying to be, we put her in training. I ended up riding up in Michigan at a place called Laughing Place, actually. And I leased a horse there and did the hunter jumper world. So, the show coats and the breeches and the tall black boots and the hat, and you go around the little course, and it's about, your horse being steady and slow. Like if it was out hunting, you want something that takes a nice even stride, and it's stride, 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 jump, automatic lead change, stride, 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 jump, just sort of around. And it's a judge thing. So, turns out a lot of politics in little girls' hunter jumper world, even on there's the Grand Prix and the A and the B and the C. I think I was like the double C circuit or something like that. So lots of politics.
Would you say it kind of does it rival maybe like Texas cheerleading or the pageant circuit kind of a thing? A little drama like that? Well,
so it can, and I didn't really, because I think of where I grew up too, and the people that were there, even though it was a little, could get a little political about who was going to get the blue ribbon and all of that. I didn't realize how cutthroat East Coast like hunter jumper was until I got to college, and I rode on the club team, which was catch riding. And I went to one of our first shows, and I remember Maggie had on her helmet, like her perfect, big like Gucci sunglasses, and she's like, "We don't talk to anyone." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like we're all rolling around in the dirt here with big sweaty animals? Like isn't this supposed to be?" So not that cutthroat. But still, my formative years, I mean, I rode I had, multiple different horses over the years, and I rode hunter jumper up until basically until I went to college. And then we started breeding our own horses. So then I had a horse that gave me two baby horses. So then we got into raising the youngins.
Any as we're leading up to high school, did you get involved? I mean, equestrian takes a lot of resources and a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So did you get involved in any other activities, any sports, any music, anything like that? Or was it all horses all the time?
Well, a lot of it was all horses all the time, but in like middle school, I joined the Speak Club, and I wish I could tell you what it stood for now, but that was little skits. We'd do little skits. So like, what was it? Ural the Turtle. We would take like Dr. Seuss and, readapt them and like act them out. And then we would go to the elementary schools and like perform them and then just like do a thing like that. So
like drama,
like it's drama club kind of. So I did acting. And then, when I got to high school, I had played, youth soccer, at the YMCA growing up, where everybody clumps around the ball. Except I ended up being the goalie in the youth soccer, and I was really, really young because.
So you were just bored all the time.
Well, so
my daughter played soccer at that age
Yeah.
as well. She played from starting at like age 10 all the way through high school. And what you described about the wad of kids around that just, you can spot the ball, just look at where 22 kids are or 20 kids are.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what I figured out though, at that age, if a clump of three are like coming down to score, if I run out there and just jump on it, they're not kicking me. They're like, oh, she took it. Right. So I was actually very, very good at it because I had figured out the loophole there. So then when I went into high school, actually, because we lived so far away from the school, my parents got so tired of driving back and forth and picking me up. So now when people drive their kids to school and pick them up it blows my mind. So my mom told me I was not allowed to do any after school activities, unless I could find a ride home, and I was not allowed to ride in the car with boys. So it had to be a girl, that was either in another club that ended at the same time or, on the same, whatever I wanted to do. And then somebody that lived close enough that driving, because we were on the fringe, one more county road over and I would have gone to the high school in Elkhart. Then I could do something. So I didn't really do anything my freshman year. I did the play, that fall because one of my friends had an older sister that was on the cross country team. So I did the play. And then the next year, I tried out for the soccer team because I was discovered in gym class. And the gym teacher was like, why don't you try out for the soccer team next year? Like, why aren't you on the soccer team? So
fair to say you were a pretty athletic kid.
I'm a very athletic kid. So I did that, and made the team. And one of my neighbors right around the corner, Kirsten, she took me, home every day. So I was my sophomore year, after, sort of dabbling around playing soccer here and there, I was the starting varsity goalie then for 3 years.
What was high school like for you?
Interesting. I watch all these movies or think about, the experience or whatever, but I was such a chameleon that I was able to, I was not in a clique necessarily. So I was in all of the honors courses and doing all of that. So I was friends with the nerds, but I was also on the soccer team. And then I had a friend one year say, oh, swim team's so hard. Not everybody can do it. And I'm like, okay, I probably can. So I did the swim team one season. I also got into athletic training, which became a real passion. My mentor, Mrs. K, there, I did a lot of, in fact, you letter in athletic training by how many hours and how many sporting events you cover. I lettered 7 times in athletic training because I loved it so much. I spent so much time in the training room. So again, I was meeting everybody on the sports teams. I took a special interest in the cheerleaders, watching what they were doing, understanding that they were athletes, that they get sprains, that they're, whatever. So I hung out with them a lot. So between the swim team, the soccer team, all of my courses, and all of that, I was really just I did marching band 1 year.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you play?
I played the quads.
Wow.
The
A
quad
drummer.
drums. Yeah.
That explains a lot about you.
Yep. So I was everywhere. I was everything everywhere all at once. And so that really, nobody picked on me. I had a couple boyfriends here and there, but nothing really special because honestly, I had a one-track mind that I was getting into Northwestern University. And so if you weren't a calculus book or a soccer ball or a horse, like I wasn't really interested in, what was going on. I didn't do the parties. I didn't have my first sip of alcohol until I was 18. So, oh God, yeah. I was the president of RAD, Raiders Against Drinking and Drugs. So there you go. Yeah.
When you had that first sip of alcohol, was it, oh, this is fun, I can do this? Or was it like, or were you horrifically hungover and sick the next day? I mean, was this like a gateway thing, or was it just like thing?
No, it's so funny because my parents had always been like wine or rum and Coke drinkers, and they'd always be like, "Do you want to have a sip, see what it tastes like?" I was like, "No." So I ended up over at one of my best girlfriend's houses, and she had like purple wine coolers. So they were delicious. Mm-hmm. I drank 4. I was fall down drunk. I just stayed at her house that night. But being 18, and this was the summer before I went to college. So I was out of high school at this point, stayed over at Charlene's house. And I thought it was so funny. And I woke up the next morning and felt great because that's what young people do. Is I used to go out in college and drink a little bit and then wake up the next morning and run 5 miles. Like now it's like 3 days. I need 3 days to fully, recover. So.
Yeah. What was, yeah, there's, by the way, alcohol, it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing.
It's literally poison.
Culturally endemic, and it's weird how we've done that to actual poison. But
if that came through now, the FDA would never clear it without severe lobbying and a lot of money behind it.
It's remarkable. So you brought up your sort of your drive. I wouldn't say you're single-minded because you did a lot of things, but you seem to have been really focused on one particular goal.
Yeah.
So what was the driver? What was it about Northwestern? I mean, obviously Northwestern is what Northwestern is, and for someone growing up down the road from there. But what was it about Northwestern in particular, and what did you want to do with that?
So my dad went there, and I don't know how he picked it. But then that led to my brother going there.
Is he from Indiana originally, or is he closer? Okay.
He's from Indiana originally, born in the same hospital as me. So, that just kind of became the thing, I applied early decision, and I applied early decision on a paper application, that was like a open up, and I had to type it in the school library's typewriter. That's how I applied to college, BTW. But we went up there for games all the time. It was just, we were always dressed in purple. You can see me as a little kid in a purple Northwestern sweatshirt. Just, I don't know, my dad loved it, I guess. And so somehow, you see that.
Were you close with your dad?
Not like close, but we have a really good relationship, if that makes sense. He always he gets me confused and thinks I'm like his 6-foot tall son. So my brother was sorry, Tom, if you're watching this, into cars, into, dressing nice. And he was preppy and, that kind of thing. I wanted to go learn how to drive the tractor, and I wanted to play with the horses. And so my dad and I had more things in common, than I think my dad and brother did. And then, my brother left, so it was just me.
That makes sense with what you said. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand where if you're not like some bonded emotionally close thing, but it's like friends, you have a lot of common interests, so you kind of bond over the common interests, and you can talk, you can have conversations about that stuff. What about with your mom?
My mom is the best. I love that woman like so much, to the point where when I refer to her, I call her Dana by her first name. I obviously call her mom to her face, But she drops these little gems of wisdom over the years that are not like, it's not like, Gandhi saying something, but they're funny, but they make a lot of sense. And I'll say something to my best friend and be like, oh yeah, Dana. And she'll be like, shout out Dana, because we all love my mother's little pearls of wisdom, or she's just awesome. I mean, I've told you this, she grew up on the pageant scene in Texas, did the drum major stuff.
You told me that, but you didn't tell anybody here that. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, being a tomboy, wanting to play in the dirt, playing with Ninja Turtles and He-Man, and my mom was a pageant queen that won multiple pageants in her heyday. Yeah, really interesting.
You didn't mention you ever doing any pageants,
right?
So your mom didn't turn into a pageant mom.
No. My mom asked me once if I wanted to try it because she's like, clearly you have a very good reference for that. And I just said, maybe. So at the local mall, there was a pageant. I had this, oh my God, it was like this big poofy dress, but nothing special. We French braided my hair. I think my mom let me put a little lip gloss on. I was like 8, 9 maybe. And I went up there and those girls looked like what you see on TV. I mean, hair out to here, something that looks like it's a gala gown. And I just felt it was so out of place and I didn't like it. I didn't like being on the stage that way. And so I just said, all right, well, I tried it. And she was like, we don't have to. She's like, let's ride horses instead, because she rode horses too. So we rode horses together. In fact, we still ride horses together. So she's a legend. Her horse is 26. And when I was living on my farm, she would just come over and I'd just see them walking around the property together. So my mom in her mid-70s gets on a horse.
It's so nice to hear you describe your parents like you describe them, because that's fairly rare. If you are, when my parents divorced when I was 11, that was the explosion in the divorce rate around 1980. Mm-hmm. And it was like, and then I was the first of my friends, and then every single one of my friends' parents got divorced. My close friends, but my wife is the complete opposite. Her parents stayed together. She lived across the street from her grandmother, her grandparents, close family, all that kind of stuff. So I like hearing that, and I love hearing you talk about your mom like that. I mean, that's really cool.
My parents will be married 56 years this fall. They actually got married on their fifth date.
My goodness.
Pretty much, because she was in Texas and he was in Elkhart, Indiana. So
sometimes it can work out.
I tell people I hit the lottery as far as parents go. That they're really wonderful people. My dad and I are extremely similar, so that's why when you say do you have a good relationship with him, I'm like, yes, but we go like this a lot because we are so the same person.
That makes sense.
He'll challenge me on something and my response is generally, all right, you want to go, old man? Let's go. Whatever. And he'll be like, I hope you packed your lunch. And then, that kind of eases it. Cause I'm not fighting with my father who's older at this point, but, it's kind of one of those things. We butt heads, on a lot of things and a lot of views and whatnot. But I would say I respect the hell out of him, and what he's done and everything. And then, I'm super close with my mom.
So Northwestern.
Yep. Here we are.
What was, when you got accepted, you said you started to talk about that
Yep.
You went, what did you call it? Some kind of early.
Oh yeah. Early acceptance. So I applied early acceptance. When I hadn't gotten the acceptance yet, I went, maybe I need a backup plan. And I called Indiana University and SMU to get, applications sent to me.
Because you thought,
because I was
why
like,
not go to Dallas?
Yeah. Because if it's not going to happen,
I had
an uncle in Dallas and grandparents in Texas. So
Okay.
kind of familiar. And then before I even started, after they came in the mail 3 or 4 days later, I got my acceptance letter and I was like, Yahoo. And so, transferred out of AP Calculus to take weightlifting for 2 periods instead of, whatnot.
Did you know what you were going to study or
Absolutely.
major in?
I was going to be a doctor.
Journalism.
Doctor, and my brother was a journalism major. I was going to be a doctor, and I was going to major in biology.
Okay, so yeah, that was the other thing, is either journalism or medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
and I ended up being a psychology major.
okay then. The way you described little Lacey and high school Lacey was pretty, not a lot of drama. Is that fair to say? I mean, you know what I mean, outside of the regular ups and downs of being a kid. Was college. How was college?
College was fine. I found my people. In fact, I got a text message from one of my best friends, probably my best friend in college. He's turning 45. He is having a Vegas bash this summer, and said, "Here are the dates." And without hesitation, I am booked for another Vegas trip within about 10 minutes. So I still see my friends from college, and it's wonderful. And I just sort of found my people there. Like I said, I rode a club team. I ended up getting a job. Like we were on quarters. My second quarter, I ended up getting a job at the gymnasium where I just swiped the card when people came in, and I had that job for all 4 years. But I struggled in college. That is a college for smart people. And I went from being, a standout in my tiny little Indiana town. Now, don't get me wrong, I did get the grades and the SAT scores to get in. It did not hurt that I had two legacies in the family, but I got there and just lost. Like, you had to pick either Friday or Saturday night to study. Like, there was just no way, because in those quarter systems, it was a 9-week quarter. I mean, basically, like, you'd get a syllabus, and for an English class, you'd have a paper due 2 days from then. You were taking a midterm every 2.5 to 3 weeks, depending on how they stacked. So you were always in midterms and then, going straight into finals. So it was very, very fast, and very cutthroat. So it seemed like a lot of people didn't reach out to offer to help. It was very competitive. Let's say that. Whereas I participating in the horse sport I participated in, then later it just goes with my nature. Riding horses is dangerous, right? I don't want to treat anybody poorly. You know what? I hope everybody has a fast round. I hope everybody has a clean round, and I hope you have fun, and I hope you do it safe. I'm not competing against you. Hey, I won some big shows in my day. It was awesome. I got some free pairs of Maui Jim sunglasses. I'll never forget those days. But I want to be in a more, collaborative environment. So I struggled there. It took me a while to get my bearings. And it felt very weird not to get straight A's, for the first time in my life. Yeah,
there's I had a friend of mine from high school went to Georgia Tech, and she was the valedictorian of our high school class, and she was drowning at Tech. As you want to talk about, it's one of those schools. There are a handful of them around the country that you're among the smartest kids, that was the smartest kid in their school. So any issues? I mean, 4 years? 4-year undergrad? Did it take you? Okay.
Yep. I knocked it out.
You kind of you kind of struggled, but we're not talking about like, oh my God, I'm drowning and I'm about to drop out kind of struggles. Just
and I finished with over a B average. I mean, I got my shit together and kind of figured it out, and then also realized they have, like you said, they have a journalism school, they have a great acting school. So many famous people have come out of Northwestern. Yes. So I hid out in the arts a little bit. But it's also because I loved it. So I took acting for non-majors 1. I took acting for non-majors 2. I took painting, which I thought would pad my GPA. Turns out You were actually supposed to be able to paint. Joke was on me, but still fun. I took a photography class. I took a music class. So I was able to do the harder classes because, I would go then get my camera and go do the photography assignment, which was not as mentally taxing, super fun. Still a lot of work. I still had stuff to do, but.
So we walk away from Northwestern with our degree in hand in
psychology.
Mm-hmm. And what was next?
I lived downtown Chicago for a year. I found my first real job on Craigslist. I was a personal assistant and executive assistant for a guy that was running his own executive search company downtown, right on Michigan Avenue. So I did that.
Hunting kind of a thing.
If you told him that, he would be mad at you. But no, it's the companies came to him and then retained him to go find the right person. So it was backwards hunting. So I did that. I worked for him. I learned so much. Lived right downtown in the Gold Coast, but it was too much concrete for me. So I made it about a year and a half there, and then just went. I'm a more rural person than this. I miss horses. Our 2 baby horses were coming of age at that point. And I watched a video on eventing, and I had done some cross country jumping. I didn't know they made a sport out of it. Holy cow! So I moved back home, got a job at a nonprofit running a front office for a mental health nonprofit mental health center, and then started riding horses every day when I came home from work. And I was in Indiana I was there. I actually, my parents, they have an apartment in their barn. So I moved into the barn. They were 300 feet up, and I did the boomerang kid thing, but just because I wanted to. And it's I had a job, but the horses were there, and I was enjoying it so much, and that was so important to me. I stayed there from 22 till I went to graduate school at 27 or 28.
23, so 5 years.
Yeah, I guess I was 23 because I did a year. I did a year in downtown Chicago. So yeah,
5 years doing what?
I worked at the Samaritan Center, but mainly riding. I think I worked at the Samaritan Center. Well, that wasn't my first job out of there. I did a couple jobs. I worked at a cabinet company, big manufacturing town. I worked there for a little while, and then found the Samaritan Center job. And yeah, I think I was there almost 3.5 years until I went back to graduate school, because it allowed me the time to ride horses. I had one horse that I was riding every day, and then the youngin, who's my mom's horse now, who's 26, working with him as a youngin. So some days I was riding 2 horses after work, and it was awesome.
So what made you want to go to grad school?
The theme, here it comes. Well, my parents were like, you're not going to be a professional horse rider. This is a good hobby. You're an office manager in a front job. You should be doing something more than this, And I kind of agreed, and I was just like, well, what do I do? Because so many of my friends went out and got consulting jobs and whatnot. And I was like, well, I've been dorking around with horses now. What should I do? My dad goes, why don't you just go back and get your MBA? My dad started to get his MBA way back when. And then guess what? Lacey's born. So he never finished. And he said 2 of his biggest regrets in life were not finishing his MBA and not getting his pilot's license. And I think that's interesting. So I said, all right, I'll give it a shot.
Did he ever get his pilot's license?
Nope.
Oh.
That's what he says, the 2 biggest regrets in his life. And so I was like, all right, I'll go do that. Because it made sense. Go back through a feeder system that then is going to make so many good connections and whatnot to get you find the bigger job.
And grad school was at Indiana State Polytechnic?
Yeah, I went to Notre Dame.
Okay.
So,
and how'd you end up at Notre Dame?
Well, since I didn't look at any other schools in undergrad and realized Northwestern was not a fit for me, I actually did a 17-day tour of 9 different universities in the Midwest and the little East Coast. I wanted to find. I had a rubric of I wanted to find people where their moral compass generally pointed in the northern direction. I wanted a place where people were going to be giving each other a toe hold or a leg up to help them instead of clawing over their backs going up the ladder. And then I wanted a place where I kind of connected with the students that it would be cool to hang out with, right? And Notre Dame turned out to be that place. Growing up in the shadow of the Golden Dome, we didn't like it. We didn't like the Domers, but it was a really great fit for grad school, and my horse was pregnant. So that was going to allow me being, 35 minutes away from her for when the baby did come, and still being able to go over and ride sometimes. I mean, there was a lot of work to be done at grad school, but they were also on the quarter system. So when they came in at like 11, 12-week quarters, and everybody that was on the semester system was freaking out at how fast it was, I was like cruising. I was like, this compared to Northwestern's 9 weeks. Whoa, my gosh, this is forever. Hello, sorry. So
Finley makes his first appearance.
Yeah, it's me. He just likes me so much. But yeah, I did this big 17 tour to just find the things I fit, and actually was really blown away by Notre Dame. And I drew the lucky straw and interviewed with the director of admissions for the business school there, and the interview was fantastic. And I was, sort of like, nailed it, and really felt great about it, because guess what he asked me about? Horses. Because he had just gotten back from a trip to Argentina where they rode horses, and the tour guide had told him some like wacky facts, like horses will eat themselves to death. And he was like, is that true? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. So we talked about horses. I talked about my riding and how I'd gotten there. And he asked me for a video of me riding. So that day I went home, figured out how to upload something to YouTube, sent it to him. And the emails he wrote me back about, this is amazing. Like, I didn't even know this existed, like, clearly. But horses, when people ask me if should we let our kids do horses, I'm like, yeah, I was at the barn all the time. Oh my God, it humbles you all the time. It teaches you discipline. They've got to be fed, twice a day. And the ride, it's like the roller coaster. The riding is 5% of it. Everything else is work.
What's interesting about all of this? You always come back to the horses.
Yeah.
No matter
horses
what.
Got me into grad school. I believe it. My time with horses got me into grad school.
So at Notre Dame, anything stand out? Anything
sure. I met
utterly unusual, or
I met my husband there.
All right. Here we
he's
go.
no longer my husband.
We will get there.
Good guy, just not my guy. But I ended up working for the Notre Dame football program.
And that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to hear about that a little bit. What'd you do?
I was in operations. So when everybody asks, what is operations? So basically, we are the ones that set up all of the dominoes so that when the first domino ticks off, they just go. So during game day, people would see me standing down on the sidelines doing nothing and being like, you're getting paid for this. And then, yes. And like, how did you get that job? And I'm like, well, it's because we did the work during the week. And then, if something goes awry, we get in our golf cart and we go and we put the fire out and whatnot. But for the most part, game days were the easy part. We had put it all together and let it run at that point.
If you can possibly imagine something on the level of Notre Dame college football, or pick your school, Alabama, Ohio State, whatever, a big time college football game, the amount of things that are in motion and the number of people that it takes to have those 11 players on the field, those 22 players on the field, to have the attention be focused there because everything else is done so well that you don't notice the insane amount of logistics and operations that had to take place for that little 3-hour window to happen.
Yeah.
I've worked in sports, but as a photographer, so I've been in behind that curtain to see how things have to function to put that thing on, and it's incredible. And like you said, people like you are so good at what they do that they see you standing around doing nothing, as you say, and they think that it's like well, I'd kill to have that job. You couldn't handle this job, most likely. You think it's watching football. You think I'm down here BSing with players and having fun, and that's part of it, I'm sure. But the amount of work that went into that, and I wanted to put that out there because I worked tangentially in that world too, and whether it's photographing something like the Masters or a big time college football game or something like that people are like, I'm so jealous of you, I want to do that. How did you, like, if you're photographing the Masters, no one that's photographing the Masters sees any golf.
Right. Well,
you're looking at the tournament through this aperture, and you see that person, and you're trying to catch. You're taking untold numbers of frames to catch one shot that maybe is going to get picked up by whoever, if you're independent, or that you're. And now in the digital age, you're constantly feeding. So you either got Wi-Fi on the camera or you got a runner for your memory cards. And there's no breathing. There's no one sitting back watching golf or sitting back watching football or sitting back watching baseball or whatever the sport is. So I've always been fascinated by behind the scenes stuff like that.
Well, and I was just one tiny puzzle piece of the entire game day operations.
Yeah.
I mean, the marching band has its operations, the flyover has its operations, the parking, ticketing, so it's a big monster. But what was really lucky for me is my boss is wonderful, and turns out Notre Dame has put on a football game a time or two,
once or twice.
So they're pretty good at it, and we had our formula and. But gosh, I learned a lot. I ran all the summer camps, including the fantasy camp in the summer. I was there for like 5.5 years doing miscellaneous football stuff because I had such a good relationship with them. And like you said, people get so excited. Well, I got that job, I tell people, I got that job because I was at the right place at the right time with a little bit of pixie dust and the right attitude and right resume. But I was not like a fan. I've never fangirled out about sports athletes.
That's got to help you do your job.
That helps me. I just said, I'm here for the job. Am I a fan now? Yes. But it's really strange when you know everybody on a personal level, because I wanted those young men to win because they worked so hard and because they were good young men. The term you kind of used was there wasn't a turd on the team. Like, they were just really solid young men working really hard, and so that's why I wanted them to win and became a fan. And then we had a lot of alumni football guys come back, and just wonderful people. Tim Brown, one of the nicest humans I've ever met in my life. So just that's how I then became a fan and want them to still do well and want the program to win. Same with when I did I did a summer with in the NFL. And that turnover there,
Colts,
Vikings.
Oh.
So the turnover in NFL is so much. You expect the turnover in college, right? But gosh, from the time I left for summer to the team that actually took the field for the first game, not a totally different team, but a very different looking team, from the fringes. And again, that was just all the operations and doing stuff there. And then I got a gig working facility operations, so moving to the facility side for Soldier Field in Chicago, and that was that's a completely different animal and thing and whatnot. So yeah, it is a big machine, but I think it's really cool, and I enjoyed it for.
How long did you do that after? So Notre Dame MBA,
Yep,
2 years.
Yep,
and now we're into sports operations, working out. Did you go to work for the Vikings after?
No, I did that in between, so I had to get an internship.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to get an NFL internship,
and then the Bears.
Which was funny because I was the oldest intern there. But then that served a purpose for them, so that was really, really great, because the younger male interns, the football players, would have no problem being jerks to them. Like, and you don't tell me what to do. So if we had somebody that was being a little cantankerous, you send Lacey in because she's 28 or 29, older than the player and a woman, and it was, yes ma'am, what can I do? Yes ma'am. And I'm like, ha, 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 ha. So yeah, I got sent in for all of that.
All right. So you just said 28, 29. We're out of grad school now. It was working at Soldier Field.
Yep.
In Chicago.
Living in Chicago.
That was
living in Chicago.
Got married. That was after grad school.
Got married. Living in the suburbs.
So you said you met your husband at
grad school.
Mm-hmm. Y'all got married after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. In July in Atlanta.
Yeah, been there.
It's hot.
Grew up there. July is hot in Atlanta. It's nothing like Houston or down on the coast in Charleston, but yeah, July. So indoor wedding, I hope.
Nope.
You got married outside.
I got married
Atlanta
outside
in
Chateau Elan. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah.
Okay.
You know, the lady falling off
Sure.
the thing from the grapes. So, but it was a 7:00 wedding. And we did that because my friends from Northwestern came in. They are all diehard Northwestern fans. We had our Notre Dame fans. So we did not want to put it during football season and make people choose. So we had like a, 6:30, 7:30 wedding when the sun was going down. And yeah.
Married life. What was that like?
Well, I moved to Chicago in the burbs, and that was another small stretch where I did not have a horse. And he was a 1-year student, so he had already established himself in Chicago. Obviously, I moved in there, and I kept a spreadsheet. I applied to 350, 400 jobs, and I just could not get anything in sports. With my connections, I got an interview with the Cubs, and they flat out told me, like, you basically have to start in our mailroom and be an intern because you don't have baseball experience. And I'm like, how is moving jock straps around different? And it kind of got me. And so that was the thing. Like, my choices were the Cubs, the Bears, the White Sox, but we were up in the north suburbs. So, there wasn't a lot of options, and we weren't going to move. So then I tried to do something adjacent. And it's so interesting because I got interviewed by some big, well-known name companies, and I couldn't land anything. And so, I begged my husband to let me bring a horse up. I went back to Notre Dame and said, hey, I can't get a job here. Could I do something for you guys? That's how I was at Notre Dame football for 5.5 years, because they were like, heck yeah, great. Run all our summer camps. Then you can do it remotely. You just have to be here for the summer camps. And so that's how I ended up being at Notre Dame. So I started in 2010, and my last summer was like 2015.
Okay. So living in Chicago,
riding horses,
married.
Yep.
You said, I think your words were great guy, not
my
didn't
guy.
work out, not your guy. Okay.
My guy,
So
great guy.
how did this happen? How did we
met.
How did we devolve, I guess?
We met in the microcosm of graduate school. Graduate school is not real life. So when we actually moved in together, and my life was about horses, and I was at the barn every day until 7 or 8 o'clock, and he was traveling a lot for work, and he wanted to golf, and I wanted to roll around in the dirt, we just realized we didn't have that much in common, actually. He grew up, he was a southern guy, and he grew up, and you paid somebody to mow your lawn and wash your car and like all of that. And it was a Pletcher. Like, if you can do the job, you do the job. So we just had like a lot of different philosophies on things. And he was traveling a lot, and I was married to my job and the horses. And I just kind of went, this isn't fair to either of us. And I think he feels it too. And so one day I just said, is this going well? Like, is this what we want to do? And he said, should we probably divorce? And I was like, okay. And like, that was the conversation. We both knew it. We both were, again, he when I was moving the other day, he's now since remarried, has a baby. Like, I'm so happy for him. I called him the other day and I was like, as I'm moving, I'm going to have to move all of this crystal. Do you want it? Like, you probably don't want it, but I don't want to have to pack it up. Do you want it?
How long has it been?
Since we divorced?
Yeah.
We South Carolina law, we separated in 2017, and then the divorce, we could have gotten divorced in 2018, but neither of us wanted to pay a lawyer, so we were like...
Hold on a second. South Carolina law?
Yeah, it makes you wait a year.
I thought you were in Chicago.
Oh, sorry. No, we got down here. So we moved out of Chicago. We were tired of the cold. Polar Vortex 2.0 rolled through, and I just went, this is stupid. And especially when you're worried about horses' ear tips freezing off, you can't keep water for them. Adrian, being from the South, said that sounds like a great idea. He was working for a very big name company at the time, and they offered him a step up for like the Midwest region. And he said, how about that Southeast region? And they said, sure, just live somewhere between like Atlanta and Charlotte. We knew just the place.
Where was that?
Greenville. Yeah.
All right. So we are undergrad, grad school, married, working professional. Now we're divorced. And the divorce was amicable.
Oh, so amicable. And let me tell you, if you can do this with it through a divorce, you should. We did a stuff draft. So we opened a bottle of red wine. I got first pick, which is how I have the large spatula and the small spatula, but he has the medium spatula. And we literally just picked things. So, you know, he wanted the like coffee maker thing. I wanted the Cuisinart. And we literally just did that. And then at the end, it was kind of like we could trade. And so we made our teams of the stuff we wanted. And then obviously some of the things were like, that was our stuff. And there was no.
It's interesting how you can make that dynamic work. Like grease the skids, no problem, no friction, but just the marriage.
It's because we both knew it was we weren't the right people for each other.
And that's important that people. We hope that we get to an understanding of that before we get to the altar, but life isn't perfect.
Yeah.
And
and when he met me, I had broken my foot. So he had no idea about the horse riding or what it actually entails and how many hours it was and how dedicated I was and how many weekends I'm packing up a trailer and hauling 2 horses, you know, probably 4 or 5 hours away. So that was kind of the thing too. Like we were just our interests were so different.
So now what? You're divorced. You're in the Greenville area.
So I built my dream home. We bought the land together, and I built it. Again, everything was separated. Like I got the property. We did some negotiating there, and I got the property. So my dream home is going up. I am working down here, and the house takes a little while to go up. But I'm going through the divorce. House is built. I move into my dream farm in April. It's easy to remember. It was 4/20 of 2019. I got my first job in technology. Somewhere in there, and was working for a great like boutique software development firm downtown. Got into tech, and so was just kind of I was CrossFitting 5 days a week, and just kind of had my
okay CrossFit. How'd you get into that? So we've been talking about horses, left, right, and center. A little bit of soccer. Some of this, that, and the other, but that's quite a leap to CrossFit. How'd we get there?
I don't think it's a huge leap. I mean, you talk about a dedicated, insane sport. Like, there you go. I mean, do you know what eventing is? Like, eventing is the dressage. So it's like the fancy pants, horse prancing, and then it's cross-country jumping. So you are blazing out across cross-country in a big open field with a big, powerful animal, and you're asking it to jump over things the size of picnic tables. Right. So like intense, whatever. And then the stadium jumping is the third phase, is the horse triathlon. So I wanted to get in shape. I think my horse was injured at the time. I'm trying to think who I was riding. Anyway, I wanted something to continue my fitness. And I'd done the YMCAs, I'd done the gyms, I've run on the treadmill, I'd done all of that. So I wanted to do something different. So I actually found a place when I was still in Chicago and started there. And was going a couple times a week. And then when I came down here, it was so convenient to turn into a morning person and go to the 7 a.m. class, be done by 8, shower, and be at my job by 8:30. Driving in from, we were living on the lake. So it was like a 52-minute drive in. So I would have my protein shake coffee on the way in. I'd be fully awake, still kind of asleep. So you'd get the WOD over and you'd be like, I blacked out. What happened? But it just became, I had a routine.
You having been your trainer for a few months now, I can imagine what you were like with CrossFit. Was that pretty smooth for you? Did you sustain any injuries there? It's intense.
I didn't really have that many injuries. I mean, like my shoulder, like I don't have very like flexible shoulders. So get a snatch. What ended up happening is because like I couldn't open my shoulders up enough, the bar was really hitting, I forget which thumb it was, but really hitting one of my thumbs when it landed. And so my thumb got kind of sore. And so I would just have to, hey, from this athletic training, guess what I did? I taped my own thumb and was able to do that. But gave it a rest, obviously. And then, no, shockingly, I did not have any injuries. Anytime I'm injured, somebody's like, horses, sports? And I'm like, no, I'm an idiot. So, yeah.
All right. So how old are you at this point? Where are we at?
We're 2019. So what am I, late 30s?
Sure.
Am I?
Yeah. So that's the end of the story. Everything you're doing, CrossFit, you're fit, you're lean, you're strong, happily ever after. That led you to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to point out here, the reason that I wanted you here in that chair to tell your story was not everything that you just said, but we needed that backstory. The first conversation I had with you was our consultation, our trainer prospective client consultation. And I needed to take a knee after that conversation. I was not prepared for what was about to come at me when we popped on that video call. And first of all, I was really happy that you opened up with me like that. It gave me some good insight on where you were and what kind of training that you wanted and that you needed. But it really kind of blew me away to see somebody open up and talk like that. And I wanted to make sure that we got that on here. So as we get into our training and our fitness talk here, let's talk about the broken parts. So you weren't always this lean physical specimen we see sitting before us. So
I was for a long time. I mean, in 2017, you could do your wash on my abs, right? So I've always been a kind of fit person. I've had kind of, like the chubby moments, but I'd always been a fit person until 3 years ago.
What happened then?
So, in hindsight, I got into a relationship that was very, very bad. And I was working jobs that were kind of intense and a lot of things on me. And I just, they say, looking back now, you go, how did I become one of those women in that situation? But
what do you mean by that?
I was, there was severe mental, emotional, and sometimes some physical abuse going on. And it didn't start, at first, typical how it goes. I thought it was great, wonderful, like everything's awesome. But then it started to take a very, a darker turn. And I started to lose myself. And I started eating. I started drinking way too much, self-medicating. Like I always kind of looked at it. I was too exhausted to actually deal with the relationship. He wouldn't go to therapy either by himself or together. And I was sitting all day. I was now at, jobs 8, 9 hours, 9.5, 10 some days, hours sitting in front of a computer. So I got really, really fat and really, really depressed. And it's amazing to me because I started to give my clothes away to my skinnier friends. And now I wish I had not done that. But I just looked at myself and went, Lacey, those days are over.
How long did it take you to get from where you were doing CrossFit to where you were physically at
my highest?
Your highest weight, your weakest, your least active?
Oh.
What kind of a time frame are we talking about here?
So 2020 obviously made it really hard for CrossFit, and I had horses now on a farm, and I called it farm fit. I was riding and doing all of that. So that kept me in decent shape. But so my heaviest, as you know, was it 2024? It was June of 2024, June of 2023. Had to have been June of 2023. Had to have been. So the fact that this relationship started in 2020 and it was good for a while, I mean, I just started to, I gained a little weight, gained a little weight over like a year. And then when it was so bad and I was in such a horrible spot, just.
You showed me a video of you, and I would not have, if you had just said, hey, look at this video of this person, I would not have known it was you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was granted, now I put it on quickly, but I was the frog in the boiling pot. My clothes got stretchier. I want to say one of the most embarrassing moments was I was on a plane and I had to ask for a seat extender, and the stewardess did tell me, she was like, "Oh my gosh, don't feel bad. This one looks a little short." To her credit, it did. I think I should have been able to buckle in and be like, "Oh man," but I just went, what is going on? I didn't want people to take my picture. There's barely any pictures of me. I didn't want to be seen like that. But yeah, I was sitting all day. I was in a really bad place emotionally.
Were you medicating with food? Were you eating, what were you eating?
I don't remember, but I didn't deny myself anything. But I was now living with somebody who had a metabolism like nothing I'd ever seen. And so there was always food in the house, always snacks in the house. I was trying to, cook a little more, whatnot. So my portion sizes were out of control, and I was making easy things because I was so busy doing all the other things. Mac and cheese and a burger, fry up air fryers. Shout out to air fryers. Put some chicken nuggets in, but make fries with them, nuggets and fries and all that stuff. And so yeah, it just wasn't anything. But then it was get a 6-pack and drink it every night.
I was gonna say,
and so that there's an extra 600, 700 calories just every day.
She was a beer gal.
I've seltzer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of calories and a lot of sugar
and a lot of sitting and a lot of not doing anything.
Yeah. So we are. I'm slowly dying. That's her telling me her battery's below 50%. I get the shakes when Meredith and I are the opposite. Her batteries. I'll get notifications that her phone. Meredith's phone is down to 5%. Please tell her to plug it in. I'm like, I couldn't even. My phone gets below 90, and I'm like, where's the charger? So anyway, that was funny. A little comic relief right on time. We're eating, we're drinking, we're way overweight. What'd you weigh?
I'm not sure it was my top because I didn't get on the scale.
You know what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was 210 pounds.
I think that's I think that's a common thing. I don't believe unless you weigh yourself at the beginning of a fitness journey, wellness journey. So like you're coming in at your worst, people stop weighing themselves. Mm-hmm. That is really common. So yeah. I hear that a lot. It's like, I don't know I don't think this was my heaviest, but this is the last time I weighed myself. Yeah. And that's incredible.
But that's when I went to somebody to start to get help to lose the weight. Because I was still riding horses at the time, and oh my gosh, I could not ride them. Did you seek
help with your fitness and wellness while you were still in this relationship?
Yes. So I knew, because I have eyes, I could see it, and I just went. This says I don't want to do this. I went and got on the semaglutide train because you know what? I needed help. I needed to do it. I was still, I knew I needed to get my diet in order. I knew I needed to be more physically fit, but riding the horses and still doing the farm fit stuff when I say farm fight, is shoveling stalls and like pushing a wheelbarrow. That's a good workout. But I was not riding how I wanted to. And I saw pictures of me on the horse and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So that's when and then I saw the scale and I was like, oh my God.
The two things that are the foundation of my mission and why I became a trainer, and why I started this business, and why I'm doing this podcast is based around your capability to execute your responsibilities, whether that's as an employee, a mother, whatever it is, and to engage in the activities that bring you authentic joy. And I told you that the first time that we talked, and what you're describing to me is a person that can't do either.
Yeah.
At least not at the level that you want.
And it was one of those things where, people can say it's cheating or whatever, but like I was motivated and I had some money to do it. And I was like, I need to make a change right now. Otherwise I'm going to just slip further. So I will. And when you make a New Year's resolution, you try to change your life the next day and you're going to the gym and you're trying to eat even like, no, I knew at that point I needed some help with my appetite, and I would get my nutrition in order, and just start trying to shed some pounds. And then I was still working with the horses and whatnot. And then maybe I would find a gym or a gym membership or, again, and kind of go in that direction. I was going to just take it a step at a time to make sure I was forming habits that would stick instead of something I gave up in 2 weeks. But I also knew like, I need something that can help take some pounds off of me now. Otherwise I'm just going to lose myself in here.
So you made the dietary and lifestyle adjustments to go along with the medication,
yeah,
which is pretty remarkable, actually. It's also, I think, pretty remarkable that you had the wherewithal to do this because you, as you said, I can't believe I became one of these women. And you see yourself, if you float above yourself and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a Lifetime movie. How did this happen? I can kind of see how you're feeling that. But you said you're still in this abusive relationship, this toxic abusive relationship when you actually started helping yourself. You recognized what was going on. I mean, how'd you do that? And why? Okay, so that's two parts. How did you get there? And then how the hell did you get out of this relationship?
Okay. So, I was not unaware of how horrible he was. You hope they'll change. I gave him every opportunity to change. He didn't want to. And I was exhausted, and his behavior had been on display in front of some people I've known. And, because he isolated us, he never wanted to go anywhere or do anything. And it became so glaringly obvious that I'm being used for housing and money, and because I gave him credit. He stayed with me through all the weight gain. Like, oh, he must really love me for me. Ha ha. Yeah, no. He had nowhere else to go. So I texted a friend who's a lawyer, and I said, I need him to move out. He won't. What do I got to do? So he wrote up an eviction notice, and I was going to give it to him, and then he had a horrible tragedy in his family, so I didn't. Waited a month or two. In one of our epic fights that happened 3 or 4 times a week until 2:00 in the morning, I handed it to him and I was like, you've got to get out, and then the holidays happened. And we kind of talked about, a notice, and I just said, you just got to go. Like you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Like this isn't working. We can maybe still try to, work on something, but like you being here is not working. And then there was a night where he kept me perpetually exhausted, which, staying awake and not getting good sleep to me is a form of mental torture. I called it mental terrorism. he would yell and scream and whatnot. And he would always start at like 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it would just go. And I had to get up and go to work the next morning. So, dealing with all of that. So our big fight, where I just couldn't take it anymore. He was a talker. He would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. He talked for an hour and a half about something, nothing, but he was a word salad guy. And finally, I just went, and I knew, because the pattern was he would talk and talk and talk, and then he would start to talk about how much the world was pissing him off and how, people talk about things they don't know anything about, and then it would eventually turn to me and all the things he disliked about me. In fact, I have a couple insults I keep in my back pocket that I thought were so wonderful. He called me one time a middle-aged, overweight, middle-class, basic white woman, and no one would ever love me. I locked that one away.
Did you internalize that, or did you let that roll
No,
off?
I mean, was I overweight? Right. Was I middle-aged? Yes. Was I overweight? Yes. Am I white? Yes. Am I middle class? Probably. Am I basic? Oh, hell no. Like, so, and
that when somebody goes that far with an insult, that they're so widely outside of reality that you're just like, okay.
Some of the things he said were just so like wild about all the insults that would end up coming my way and all the things he was unhappy about and why he couldn't get a job and why, all the stuff. So one night we had a big epic fight and he was following me around and keeping talking. And I just like, I can't do this anymore. It's 3 or 4 times a week and I'm exhausted. And I just, at that point I had probably dropped about 30 pounds just using the GLP-1s and like whatnot going in that direction. And so he followed me. I tried to go downstairs and lock myself in a bedroom door, in a bedroom. And I walked in and he, as I was trying to close the door, he pushes the door open and I just lose it. And it's, I touched him first. I'll say that. Like, he was following me around. He was a big guy. His strategy was he was a tall guy. His strategy was he would never lay a hand on me, but he would push his nose into my nose and like back me around and scream in my face. One time he backed me in the dog crate and I had a big line bruise, across my back. And I just went, I'm so done with this. And they say that there's what's the term called? Like reactive abuse or whatever. But I just went like this and I went at him and I pushed him back and shoved him. And he grabbed my arm, spun me around, put me in an arm bar. And I was screaming to let me go. And I ran upstairs and ran out the door, got in the car, went down the driveway. Didn't go very far because anytime I would get away from him and I'd drive away, why am I leaving my own house that I pay a mortgage on that he hasn't really put the first dime into? I mean, sure, he helps around the house and he's done some farm stuff and whatnot, but like I pay all the bills. I put the food on the table. Like I'm doing everything and I'm leaving my own house. So I go back and I tell him, get out, I'm calling the police. And he was, well, I've been drinking. Hold on, I'm going to try to see if I shouldn't get in the car. And I was like, get in the car. I'm calling the police. And I actually heard him talking to his sister and the things he was saying about me already, this is, she attacked me. Now she's saying she's going to call the police. Like, yeah, dude. So I called the police and they came. They took both sides of our story and they decided they had him on grounds and he went away in handcuffs.
The end?
362 days ago. No, not the end. So, after that, obviously, shook, did not think my relationship that I'd been in for 5 years was ending that night. Kind of, not really sure what to do, but oh my God, I slept so good those next couple of nights. I mean, it was a weight off my shoulders. In your mind, you're kind of like, I love this person. I love this person so much, but like, oh God. And like, blah, blah. But it's so quiet. it's so peaceful. I can do my job in peace. I'm not like clenching my teeth every day, waiting for him to come inside and explode about something. I'm not tiptoeing around my own house. I don't feel like I need a beer to like get to numb down and like do all this. And what ended up happening next, when I told my brother the story, I was like, it was like a crazy Oprah episode. And he goes, Lacey, that was like the craziest Jerry Springer episode times 100 you've ever seen. Long and short of it is he moved in with a mutual friend that happened to be dating one of his relatives that tragically passed away. She and I had grown close over the last, couple of months dealing with the family tragedy. And then I won't say he did a little bit. It was a lying by omission, but they manipulated me. She came in as the ringmaster. I was trying to demand respect. We went through the court system, and through the whole time, her coaching to me was, look, I just went through a divorce. Don't give him any reason to say you're crazy, because then you're the bad guy, And that's kind of what I heard. And I helped him through the court system. I did not press charges. I advocated for the charges to be dropped. What I told the prosecutor was like, look, this guy's got he's got a lot of ground. He's got just let him go do that. Whatever. But it turns out that from when the night he was taken away to the case being dismissed and expunged, they had started a relationship and were lying to me about it. I talked to her every day, through text, whatever, and relied on her. She kind of had to be the middleman sometimes, for him to come get his stuff. And I, in hindsight's 2020, now looking back, how she was advocating for her new man to make sure he could get all of his things and, all of that. And I picked up on it rather quickly, but the relationship of who they were to each other, I just kind of kept going, no, no way. Those two she wouldn't, no, and there's no way, ew, no. And turns out some people have no rock bottom. So I got put through the ringer, and the day I found out, I lost my goddamn mind. The best way to describe it was I went feral animal. To keep on the weight loss theme here. So from March until this time, I actually dropped a lot more weight. I dropped maybe 20 more pounds, and everybody asked me how I did it. And I said, seething rage. But,
Well, how did you do it? Not just the GLP-1.
I stopped seething rage. I was so mad. I was so just distraught and of all the things that were happening and, this, that, and the other. And he was gone. I didn't have that stress and anxiety, constantly making me feel like I needed to drink or making me feel like I needed to, eat food or, whatever. So I went feral animal. I lost my mind. And it was one of those things where people say, oh, I went crazy, or oh, I lost my mind. I had been like that before. You're so mad. No, this was, this is the only thing, this betrayal. And when I started thinking about how much I did for them and how much I was still supporting them, and how, started cataloging all the things that she ever said and all the things that he ever did. And during this time where she was telling me every day, and now granted, I was not going to get back together with this person. I wanted to send him off with light and love and whatnot. But she was telling me how sorry he was. Keep in mind, I asked him for an apology one time to my face, and he made up excuses as to why he couldn't. How sorry he was, and he talks about me all the time, and he's still so in love with you. And so she was just feeding me all this bullshit. So I would continue to help and, try to believe that this is a poor lost person that should have gone to therapy for years. Anyway, I had emotions in that moment that I didn't even know existed. And I had motions to levels that I didn't even know were possible. This struck me to my core. Like I was seething rage. I don't even know how to describe it. So, my first reaction is I want to find them. I want to confront them, whatever. But really my second reaction was, I can't believe this has happened to me. I feel like this is disgusting, and I can't believe this happened, and I'm so hurt, and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go home and kill myself. That'll teach them, right? You can't treat people like this. Look what happens. So, luckily, on the way home, I called a friend, and he answered the phone. And I was having a full-blown panic attack, and he talked me down, and he was like, go home, go get your dog, and talked me down. Talked to me until I was calm enough to drive. Talked to me until I got home. But then I was there by myself, and my brain just started worrying about all of this. And I just went, something like, you can't, don't you know who I am? You can't do this to me. Or, but it was so painful. I went into shock because I actually felt nothing. But I knew if I went downstairs, got my gun, and shot myself in the head, which was the plan, then that wouldn't leave enough blood on the hands of the guilty. And they would be able to go, she flipped out. It's not our fault. Oh, no. That's not how I'm going to go out. So I made a plan. I put a will together for the first time ever. I changed my beneficiaries to make sure it was who I wanted. I was going to be traveling for work in 2 weeks. It's a big event, first time for work, wanted to get them through that. And then I was going to come home that Friday, and I had it all planned out. Wrote my note, had everything all lined up. My animals had care, and coming home. And that week, those 2 weeks, didn't say anything to anybody, of course. Numbed myself with lots of alcohol. It was weird. I marched through those 2 weeks thinking to myself, this is the only way. If I am so worthless to two people that I cared about, so I would have gone to the ends of the earth for both of those people. And I started to realize, wow, I don't matter to them. Maybe I never mattered at all. And I was just completely numb. So, that was just kind of what was on the loop in my head. This is the only way. This is the only way. So I have everything set up. I leave for my work trip. During the work trip, I literally have to excuse myself into the bathroom sometimes and just go, it's weird, but my body just needed to go because it hurt. But and what's weird is I felt like I was going to throw up. I would shake, all of that, but I didn't feel anything. So it's like my body was having the response, but my brain went, you're in danger if you feel the depths of what this is doing to you. So, ready for my plan, everything's set up. Go to the airport, time to go home. Be home by 3:00, execute plan, got it all laid out. Flight's canceled. We can fly out tomorrow. No. I have a plan. No, what? At this point, I'm like, well, okay. This was, it was a little satellite airport. I'm like, I'll just drive into the city. I'll take an Uber to the city, and I'll get on a bigger airline and whatnot. So they let me buy the ticket. It's very expensive, but I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be here? Who cares? So get down to the bigger airport, and then that flight is 2 hour delayed, then 3 hour delayed, then 4 hour delayed. And I'm like, is this thing going? So I ended up sitting in an airport for about 6 hours. And there are two things that happened. An old person from Notre Dame reached out to me randomly said he saw me on LinkedIn and told me how if I wasn't his friend through grad school, he's not sure he could have made it through. 15 years later, whatever it was, 10 years later.
So you had two people who you consider very important to you. You realized that they didn't care about you at all, and you went from that across this span of this torturous mental state to someone coming back and telling you how valuable you were.
Correct. Somebody that, we were in each other's lives for a year and a half, 2 years. We worked in the football office together. So we shared trauma. No, but, we kind of made that bond. We were going through the same things. I had reached out to somebody I dated years and years and years and years ago. And he now turns out he's a therapist now. And when I told him, what I was kind of going through, he dropped everything and spent 3 hours on the phone with me and told me he's been waiting for the day that he could repay me for how much I helped him and got him started on the path that led him to where he is now, doing a job he loves, engaged and all of that. So, it's like the universe provides. The universe had been giving me butt kiss. The universe had been kicking my teeth in. And now suddenly here is just this random whatever. And now an IT glitch takes down a little weather, and an IT glitch takes down my ability to get home. I ended up getting home at 3 a.m. I was exhausted. I crawled into bed and woke up the next day past my expiration date, kind of wondering, what now? And, oh shit, I got to pay for that plane ticket. But I realized, and then the next day I was just kind of a zombie. I still was like out of it. But then I realized, like, I take my life. What does that do? To them? Nothing. They'll play the victims. They'll find a way to, like, that's who these people are. Like, it doesn't do anything. All it does is it takes me out and hurts people I care about. However, so needing to teach them a lesson went away. However, now the pain and suffering came in because I guess I was in shock or whatever. My body was able to numb it up for 2 weeks. And now here it came. And I was obviously still very distraught and so hurt. And I wanted answers. And I didn't know who to turn to. So instead of saying, this is the only way, my brain started saying, I don't want to live in a world where, like, I'm not interested in a life where this happens, and it's happened to me. And I'll be damned if these people haunt me for the rest of my life. No, I'm not interested in that life. I'm not interested in carrying on a life where that happened. So I made a second plan, which was the slow burn fade out plan. Just pump myself full of so many alcohol, drugs, don't sleep, don't eat, like whatever. Eventually your body's going to give out. At some point, kind of worried if my cats would eat me, but hey. So on about day 4 of this plan.
So we got through the suicidal ideation, not just the ideation, but the plan. Mm-hmm. The universe threw you a curveball, mm-hmm. but you're still not okay.
No, not okay at all. So, about on day 4, I'm exhausted, and I'm like, we need to speed this up. I'll just overdose. So, and then
how are you still thinking this way?
Because it hurts so bad. Now I could feel the hurt. It hurt so bad. I had wrestled with, I'd been to deep, dark places before. When you really get to the deep, dark place, you're like, oh, this is where it is. I was still on level 2. I had not gotten to basement yet. So, because I'm operationally and logistically oriented, I went, well, my first note's not going to make any sense. I'm going to scribble down another one right quick. So I get out my computer, and instead of writing a note, I write down, and I don't know where this came from, or like it's what came out of me. I should be writing a suicide note right now. Actually, I should be writing my second suicide note, but here we are. And I just started writing, and the story kind of came pouring out of me, but not in I didn't even say kind of what happened. I talked about, the 3 months, and the feelings there, and then the 3 weeks that I had now kind of gone through since I found out about the heinous betrayal. And it helped me kind of express, like, depraved people going to do what depraved people going to do. And just sort of, everything that kind of went on and how I got writing there. And, I don't know, it didn't necessarily make me feel better, but I decided during all of this that I was going to do something I've never done and ask for help. Real help. Because to me, I'm always the one with a smile on my face, like, whatever, sure, I'll tell you about my crappy day or whatnot. But I had never really admitted to anyone how many times I had visited the dark abyss, how dark, what was really going on in my life was. What really happened during that relationship. I mean, people aren't dumb. They kind of sort of figured it out, but I never told anybody about it. So I'd happened to be working with a career coach I had met online. Crazy how she came into my life, but she was also a trauma therapist. And when the arrest happened, I told her, hey, let's pause our career coaching stuff because I don't there's a lot going on right now. And she said, or we could talk about that instead. So we did. So I had a session with her. It was either the next day or the next day. And I sent her what I now just call my manifesto of like all the writing, like everything, all the plans, everything that happened, everything that I'd done, all of that thing, how I felt, this, that, and the other. I sent it to her and I said, I want to talk about this. And she, again, I lied my face off to people. She opened by saying, are you safe? And I gave her an honest answer, which was, now granted, I had asked for help, but I said, I don't know. And she said, get in a car or get in a plane. I don't care. She has her wellness facility out in, it's like one mountain over from Aspen. And she said, get out here as fast as you can. So I did. 3 days later, my dog and I are in the car driving cross country. Turned out it was an amazing trip. I got out there with her. I spent a week getting my shit together, but basically I just needed to be supervised 24/7. And I needed a place where I felt safe because if ever it would creep into my mind, I'd be like, la, 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 I'm not thinking about it. I needed a place that was going to be safe, that I could process it, feel the things, and not be alone in my now way too big property with a ton of animals to take care of, so much work, the grass knee high. I was completely overwhelmed in every aspect of caring for this place by myself. And so I went out to Colorado. It's a beautiful drive. Somewhere in the middle of Kansas, I think I entered a portal to hell because I looked down, it was like 106 degrees. And I was like, is my car going to overheat? Like, what's going on? I tried to take Raya out and the blacktop was so hot. Like she stepped down. I was like, and got back in the car. I felt awful, not thinking about that. But I went out and I spent a wonderful week out there with somebody I've grown to really, really trust. And so that's kind of, we got through it. She and I then met twice a week, then for weeks. And then I took another blow. I lost my job. Not surprisingly, I was a rock star at that job and I had not been being a rock star. I was still getting a lot of work done. In fact, whatever I had left, I gave to that job because I knew that's what was keeping my lights on and whatnot.
Where are we at on the timeline? How long ago was this?
This was in, so I went to the wellness center in July of 2025. And then I lost my job at the end of September 2025.
And you called me not long after that.
Correct. So it was the Avengers Assemble moment. And then what's interesting is too, after the betrayal and everything, like obviously, oh my God, 20 pounds off me like that. You know, I was not eating, I was not sleeping, I was, whatnot. So I was looking at myself and my clothes were fitting again. And I was working with this wonderful woman in Colorado. And I just started to go, I made the decision to sell my farm, give up the dream. Like, dream's not over, but because it could still happen, I just need to set it down for right now because I can't do this. Like, my animals are not getting, like, they're fed and their legs are attached, but they're not getting the care that they deserve. I need to move on from this so I can just focus on me, just me. No animals, no spouse. Turns out no job. That is helpful too. And then just like be really selfish because I have always wanted to give and wanted to care for other things and wanted to undo all that. And I just went, I'm going to do exactly everything I want to do for me.
You were empty and you needed to refill.
Yeah. So I put my house on the market. That was a lift. It sold 90 days later, which was great. And I moved out here, which is how I found you. But basically, I wanted to assemble a team. And I think about it like that because the best relationships I've ever had with, professionals that I'm hiring to do something, I want them also to have some skin in the game or feel invested in me or whatnot. Because that's what's really going to provide the motivation too for me to be like, all right, I'm not going to let Scott down. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm supposed to be working on my resume for my for my career coach. I'm like, I'm not going to let her down. Like having those relationships with those people and really assembling a team. Who who else is on my team? The girl that does my eyelashes. But that's how it's the village. It's the village. And so for me, having a wonderful set of friends. That's the other thing. I kicked out a lot of people of my life. If you didn't add value, if you weren't actively trying to be in my life, like, who cares? Why are we doing this?
This is really important to stop and highlight that because especially for someone who is a giving, empathetic person like you,
yep.
It can be difficult to detach from people.
Yep.
That need detaching.
Yeah.
And it's also scary to be the concept of potentially being alone because you're detaching from people. But the quote is that it's
but not lonely.
Yeah. It's better to be alone than in bad company.
Or Whitney Houston, I'd rather be alone than unhappy.
So that's a big step, and a step that a lot of people either never take or have a really difficult time taking is detaching from people who are not elevating them, people who are offering nothing, people who are taking. So that's good. That's a big step in this whole body, mind, spirit triad, this wellness aura that we're trying to build with people. That's a big part of it. And whether it's the weight loss phase of your wellness journey, that's a big one because there's a lot of codependence there. And you have a lot of people in your life who you're struggling to give up sweets or junk food, whatever it is that you're struggling to give up, except you got these people here who have been here a large chunk of your life, if not your whole life, saying things like, oh, it's okay. You can go ahead. You can have this. Why? You don't deprive yourself like that. You don't want to do, come on, this makes you happy. Let's do this. And by the way, I want mine too, and I don't want to do this alone. So we do this together, right? And it's really important to either A, detach, or B, put up boundaries. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I find that my nutrition clients struggle with the most is the people around them are not helping. And it's not necessarily that they're malevolent characters who are out to get them. The psychology is the psychology of codependence and the psychology of you think you're caretaking with someone when you give them the food that they want or that thing that they want when they're actually medicating with it. So you came to me and you told me a very small version of that story, which still blew me away. And we've been doing this together for 4 months now.
I guess so.
Yeah. 4 months now. How do you feel?
I feel great. And that's one of the things
I'm sorry, when I say doing this together, I mean,
not podcasting,
you've
working
been my personal training client
Yeah.
for 4 months now.
Yeah.
And we work together mostly 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes less if you're out of town, sometimes more if you got a trip coming up. So we work together on average 3 days a week, and we do a lot of core work, balance work, strength training, confidence, a lot of, I call it capability training, whole body, total body, strength, function, fitness, capability training. So anyway, how do you feel?
I feel really good. And I remember that first conversation, it was really important for me coming into this because when I got into CrossFit, it was like, I wanted to look better, obviously. And then it became about the competition and all of that. And I used to work with, at the nonprofit, addictions counselor. And he said, look, to quit or do whatever, use whatever reason you need to, but because you will eventually find a reason to make it for you. Right. So, I knew for something that was going to be stick with, it's not like to weigh a certain amount or to look a certain way. I just wanted to be more confident in my body. And I'd kind of done, I'd put my body through hell at that point. Like I had been through hell. I had dropped the weight. Now let's, tighten it up. And so I think I told you I came in with not I don't necessarily have goals. Like it'll be really cool to do a backflip, off the boat or I don't know if a kick up's ever in my future, but we're going to go for it. Cause have some goals there, but it has just been to be, look, when I get down on the ground and then I push myself up off the ground or sitting on a truck tailgate, when I was trying to get my booty up, or the kitchen island, trying to get my booty up to sit on that, and I would jump and I wouldn't be confident in my jump because I knew my arms probably couldn't hold myself up. And then I was like, oh, am I going to rake my back down I'm going to fall? Am I going to look stupid? The little things that you just do every day, I gotten so out of shape and so heavy. And I wanted to feel like this whole thing has been about finding Lacey again. Lacey is the wild, confident and wonderful friend and all of those things. And I just lost all of it, including my appearance in that. Everything was taken from me, in that relationship. And then the crash out, I stood there, as I was standing there in the wreckage, looking at it all, I'm like, great. How do I pick up the pieces? And so that's why I came to you. I wanted, and you know what? We've talked about it. You're my social a little bit because I still live by myself aside from the zoo that I live with. So I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy that our dogs get along so well. So it's just been, 360, a wonderful thing to put, into my life, and has helped me so much stay on target, think about things, and work towards, it's not even because I did that once. I got jacked once. I think I showed you the picture. Just, and then guess what? It didn't make me happier. It didn't make me, my life didn't suddenly improve because I had done this. And I was like, okay, well now what? So this was all about, I feel great. And I want to, that's my goal. I want to keep feeling great. I want to be able to jump up on my kitchen island and not worry that my triceps are going to give out. And I'm going to, I want to be able to take my feet off the ground and not be afraid to jump up on a kitchen island, which literally I need to move my booty this far. Right. And so it's just kind of coming back from all of that. My only goal is to continue to feel great because I felt so bad for so long, and screw that. We're not doing that anymore.
Good. I'm glad you're not. glad you found me, and I'm glad I found you. Starting or staying on a fitness journey, what can you tell people? What kind of little piece of hip pocket advice, or what kind of little nugget can you give somebody for starting or staying, particularly someone like you, women in their 40s?
Yep.
What do you got for them?
This is my knee-jerk reaction, so I'm going to say it. Well, camera one, camera two. No, I'm kidding. You're worth it. That's the nugget I would give to them. If you have been broken, if somebody is sitting on you, if somebody is snuffing out your light, even if it's yourself, you're worth it. You're worth feeling better. You're worth feeling in your body, no matter what that weight is. If you feel, I saw, people at triathlons. They don't look like super athletes, but they're getting it done. Like, don't have some aesthetic goal, unless you want to go into bodybuilding or something, but don't have some like aesthetic goal or some out there thing that once you hit it, you don't know what you're going to do next. Do it for you. Do it for you every day because you're worth it, and you owe it to yourself to feel good about yourself. And it's helped, me mentally, obviously. Endorphins, yay.
I could add something, but
okay,
I don't think I need to. Okay. I think that was a pretty good way to bring the ship into port. Did we miss anything?
That's the other thing. Ship into port. Yeah, we're here now, Scott. Burn the fucking boats. We're not going back.
All right. I like it. Sticking to it. Sticking to that plan. And on that note, we are going to go ahead and call that a wrap. All right, I told you were going to want to hear that story. Thanks for spending time with me today and with Lacey on Balance Fit Radio. If this conversation resonated with you, by all means, please share it with someone who might need it. And let me leave you with this thought. You are not your own. You do not live in a vacuum. Treat your body like a temple in service to others, not like a rusty shed where you store the unneeded crap of your life. Until next time, be mindful, be fit, be capable and resolute, and move through life with a sense of purpose. And remember, your life, your potential. Peace out, homies, and I'll see y'all next time. How about that?
I saved my F-bomb for the, I used it purposely.